are we? Okay. Oh, it's the Mechanicus.
Okayu is here.
Do not keep your hopes up, Megoscrus. Remember what happened the last time we tried finding it on a penal world.
Oh yes, I remember. They launched you out of a cannon.
Hair. You could say that
What,
you
how?
pierced the heavens.
Oh man, Gurren Lagann is such a good show, man. You know, whenever I'm feeling down or lacking in motivation, sometimes I go back to rewatch that. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it.
Not sure who the hell you think I am, but if you persist in making stupid jokes, you better believe in me that believes that you lying dead on the ground. The hundred straight for your fucking cranium is better than you standing here.
Yo, I'm living for this.
Besides, you have to find this is
Personally, for me, definitely in my top 3 favorite anime of all time. Love that show so much.
DC, or alternatively, the Omnisicopaya.
Well, actually, I
What is an
don't see any
Omnisicopaya?
STC around here, but that giant pillar certainly
I do know what an
looks
SCC is at the very least.
By the Omnisire, this is ancient technology.
Look, there are more of them over there.
Are they just giant speakers?
I am part of these invasions. Upon the eve of great celebration, mankind would tread these planets, jumping around like idiots as the repeated patterns of sound blasting out of these pillars.
Jumping around like
They
idiots,
also
pretty
injected
much.
copious amounts of drugs.
Sounds
Yeah.
like what the Fabricator
Yeah.
General does all the time.
We must send for more depths. We have a lot of work in front of us.
Well, I've sent to wait the message telling the Octaries about their second mission now. Hopefully you'll be with them in spirit on their new conquest.
Yeah,
I'd rather
totally.
not. Their obnoxious chatting just worsens my eternal headache.
Well, maybe enough discussion about something will ease your splintered mind, my lord. I'm open to talk about anything.
I would be too, but let's not forget what happened last time you said that. Try and keep to subjects that won't make me want to destroy the entire galaxy with my transcendent bowel movements.
Sure. So, any ideas?
How about you tell me about those Xeno creatures
The
that
Tau.
you mentioned back when we read those revolting questions? Toa, or whatever their name was.
Toa?
Can I not say that I did?
Are you defying me?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's just you said not to talk about things that would cause explosive warp farts and
I would like to remind you, young man, that I'm the motherfucking Emperor, and that defying my subject matter of the day will have you be selected as the target for the Seek and Destroy mission during the next Blood Games. Your custodian
The Blood
brothers
Games?
will have a pleasing high time chasing you around.
Well, I don't know about this, but I feel like the name is pretty self-explanatory, and I'm honestly not surprised that it happens in 40k. Like, that just seems like a par for the course.
Oh, Emperor.
And I'm going to presume the destroy part is something they particularly enjoy.
please no. Not again.
There's something they will be destroying with those throbbing guardian spears.
Oh
Am I
my
right?
god.
I thought you were supposed to be charismatic while persuading people to
No.
obey you.
He's rolling intimidation
Because I
right
know
now.
You secretly like this.
Okay, we are stopping right here. The Guardsman just dropped dead. Time to make a 180 and drastically change the subject.
Well, stop whining and tell me about these Tarzinos then.
Fair enough, my lord. The Tau are a race of naive, blue-grey fish-like people with a vagina on their forehead and giant, stupid, toy-looking war gear with no skull ornaments on at all,
Oh,
and
man.
makes pathetic pew-pew sounds.
Oh, they don't even have skulls on top of their war machines. They don't get the aesthetic. And I think that's actually one of the complaints that I've heard about the Tau from, well, people who don't like them as a faction. It's just that their design doesn't really fit in with the rest of everybody else, but I guess in a way you could also see it as them developing outside of the loop. Like everybody else is already like a fallen civilization. The Eldar are long gone, and it's kind of just the dregs of their previous glory. The Imperium of Man is kind of on its way out, practically like a slowly rotting corpse. Much like what the Emperor currently is. But the Tau are new, and they got fancy new toys. And, you know, they got their own thing going on, so I guess I can kind of see that. But I mean, it is pretty obvious what it's inspired from.
Been fired.
Right. Care to elaborate?
Must I? Well, during the 35th millennium, some fucking explorators from the Adeptus Mechanicus were flying around the empty void of the eastern fringes of the galaxy for no
the East
reason.
Fringe.
Then they found some world filled with primitive fucking Xenos that only use rods as weapons, which, for the record, is still a lot more aesthetically pleasing than what they've got going on today.
Dang.
These no-nose fish flappers split themselves into 4 different factions or whatever that represented the only resources they had in that little rock of theirs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They have their own, like, elements and factions based on those elements, right? I think there's some internal strife, but ultimately they all work together for the greater good. That's kind of the situation there, maybe?
Which were water, earth, fire, and air. These factions constantly fought like skinny, mist-coloured orcs with mental issues for no reason. Then at some point, another faction came along out of nowhere which called themselves the Ethereals. They said to the Tau, "Hey, you should stop throwing rocks at each other, you fucking
Okay,
idiots."
yeah, no,
And the Tau
never
said,
mind.
"Oh yeah, I didn't really think of that." So then they became the Ethereal slaves for no reason, started to build all kinds of stupid shit, and then decided to go and try some space conquering, which they've barely done any of, since they're still sitting way up east rolling their fucking no, they don't even have thumbs. So, to sum it all up, they're a small Xenos race with scary toy guns that kidnap gullible guards and then cut their balls.
Oh my god. But alright, yeah. So for what I'm getting from that is that they used to be warring clans, but then were united by this race called the Ethereals, and maybe the Ethereals taught them about like the greater good, and that's how they all kind of banded together. Because the Tau, technically speaking, are like a bunch of different alien races, although there are like a main race of Tau that you would think of when you think of them, right? So while on the surface they kind of look like the good guy faction in a universe full of bad guys, they're still practically pawns of the greater good, right?
Off for no reason. They are completely redundant in any threat record, and I am sick to death of them being brought up all the time, because there's never any fucking reason to!
Damn, calm down, son. I was only asking. Shit, you are starting to sound like your father.
I'm sorry, my lord.
So humans tend to leave the Imperium to go and join the Xenos Empire, correct?
Yes, but it's not only humans. The Tau have gotten a shitload of other minuscule and important Xeno races to join them as well. Just like a gang of creepy old hobos in a hive city, they lure in others with promises of deeds before...
Oh yeah, actually, speaking of some of those Xenos races that went to join the Tau, I had never heard of them until I reacted to the video where it was like the rivalry between the Orcs and the Kroot, or more of like a conceptual rivalry, considering the sheer difference in how they work being complete opposites. But yeah. The Kroot are pretty interesting, and I'm sure there's like a ton of unexplored minor Xenos races that are part of the Tau faction as well.
Formed for the greater good, never really specifying what the greater good is, nor why they keep moaning about it as they force you to go deep inside their own puppet domain, where you can never hope to escape once inside.
I am genuinely sickened when you put it into these contexts. I hope all this repressed anger isn't from some pseudo-weird first-hand experience.
I'd rather not say. Now, my Emperor, could you please order me to send an immediate death warrant onto these foul creatures that we can mobilize all forces we've got and destroy them before they populate more planets with their cringeworthy ways?
Well, if you put it like that...
Hold it right there, Father. Do not let him brainwash you so easily. Or, do you still have a brain, actually?
That's a
Not
good
sure.
question.
I'll have to ask someone to check later and see if it's still in there. I hope it is. Where else am I going to store all my glorious fourth wall-breaking punts?
Brainwashing? Really? You're complaining about brainwashing?
For looking like a yellow
Well, actually, he's got him there. Yeah, Magnus, he kind of fell for it, man. Although Kitten does kind of look like a yellow submarine. Just thinking about where the Tau are currently positioned within the universe, and that kind of being in the general direction of where the Tyranids invade from, I feel like getting rid of them would kind of be a detriment to the galaxy as a whole, because whoever was able to conquer that entire eastern fringe of the galaxy would then have to spend resources in order to defend against the Tyranids. I think it's just a bad deal, and it's better to just leave the Tau to deal with them, or maybe even help them deal with them from time to time. But there's obviously a lot of context that I'm missing. That's just my broad perspective on that.
submarine. There seems to be a distinct lack of intelligent life living inside your head.
That's fucking hilarious.
Of course a Chaos Worshipper is going to side with the fucking Xenos.
I'm taking the side of reason in this debate, and my reason is telling me that you are very biased in this discussion.
No, I'm not. I'm just telling the truth.
The truth about how the Tower are a race of creepy old vagina-faced hobos that exist for no reason?
Exactly!
Father, do not listen to him. While I do not appreciate the existence of these Xenos myself, what with their distinctive disconnection to the warp and the disrespect they have for arcane knowledge, I can tell you that these creatures could do more good for you than bad.
Does that mean the Tau don't have any psychers? Like they're completely cut off from the warp? Which would then mean maybe they don't get chaos corrupted? Well, I'm assuming a lot just from that one line, but yeah, let me know.
If handled correctly.
Is that so? Then tell me, how would they benefit my goals?
Maybe we can get the Mechanicus to turn them to servitors and then have them develop disk drive technology on their foreheads, and that way they can actually be of some fucking use to the galaxy.
The Tau have surpassed us in our current state, and many technological fields in but the span of 6,000 years.
Yeah.
They are an open-minded and fairly naive race, always open to the suggestion of more allies joining their empire. While their leaders are oppressive and tyrannical, they are small, cuddly teddy bears in comparison to the bureaucratic puppeteers of the Imperium or the iron-handed maniacs of chaos.
Okay, well, when you put it like that, yeah. In the broader context of things, it's not that bad. It is still bad, but yeah, there's far worse out there.
At least those guys don't cut people's balls off or rip out people's ovaries. Seriously.
You must be as naive as the Tau if you don't believe that mankind is just as capable of such
Mankind is likely capable of even worse atrocities than just that.
atrocities. Your Imperium has forced gelding onto more than a few innocent people, I bet, what with all those inquisitorial sterilization camps.
Damn.
As for chaos, well, so that's
You know
just
what
a weird
chaos
sense of
does.
humor.
Alright, fine, you got me on that one.
I think that with the use of your powerful charisma, you could manipulate these Signos into working for you, which would more than likely aid in the recovery, or at the very least further the lifespan of this rotting Imperium of yours.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, they're actually willing to negotiate, unlike so many other factions within the universe. Like, if they stand to benefit from something, then they would probably take it.
Didn't you mention that they had no presence in the warp? How am I supposed to use my charisma when I can't bolster it with my psychic strength?
No, they do have a presence in the warp, but it is very small. I think an overwhelming presence such as mine or yours would still be able to affect them.
My lord.
Okay.
I beg of you, do not listen to this possessed traitor. The Tau fight only for their ideology, enslaved by the Ethereals and control them through pheromones like they're some kind of horny rodents. They only
Through
fight
pheromones?
for their greater good.
Well, what if I use my powers to become their greater good?
Oh my.
My lord!
Would that be
No
possible?
buts. I'd prefer at least
No
one
buts.
of you custodians to keep your armor on.
What?
Never mind, just shut up and do what I say.
Seriously, my lord, they're Xenos!
As long as they are under regulation, and they do not interfere.
Oh yeah, the Emperor did say that beforehand. That the entire goal wasn't to wipe out the Xenos, but to keep them under regulation, so that, you know, mankind can grow without having to worry about a alien force just absolutely annihilating them. The Tau could someday grow to become that, but as they are now, I don't think they're they're there just yet. So I guess we'll see how this goes.
With mankind, it is all right.
They have winch-worthy weaponry with no skulls or holy symbols on them.
As long as they serve the Imperium and only fire upon those who wish to destroy us, it is all right.
But they have a socio-economic philosophy that promotes a completely classless living where every individual works for the betterment of it all, but in actuality, it's an oppressive dictatorship based around the ethereal's well-being.
As long as everyone is treated well and fairly in the conjoined Imperium, where there will be no need for retarded and corrupt political systems, and the ethereals will be under my direct control, it's all right.
But they have turned a whole lot of loyal castle into sterile, base-dwelling towlers that only ever draw nude pictures that they use as towel propaganda.
As long as I'm not shown any of that I want to and a lot of futanary slash tier or garbage, it's all right.
But they can't even fight in melee!
What?
I'm sorry, but what did you just say?
Yeah, we could accept every other part about them. But this is unacceptable. Also, feel free to correct me in the comments. I think with some of the newer Tau units, they have started adding melee units. Although, you know, as a faction, they were kind of always meant to be specialized in ranged. But still, like, I think they were adding more variety to the Tau. I could be wrong, but that's what I heard.
The Tau are a cowardly race that only fire upon their enemies from far, never engaging in any form of melee combat.
Is this true, Magnus?
Well, yes.
That is absolutely disgraceful.
Oh, okay. Here we go, warp storm time.
Well, I said it now, so I'm still here. We might as well make the best out of this situation.
Now, Father, let's not be hasty here.
How can they not fight in glorious hand-to-hand, face-to-face combat with their adversaries like all true champions of the battlefield do?
Basically, they just shoot anyone before they can get into range. And what's more, they're also all physically weak and pathetic. They seriously make drones to all of the warriors tasks for them and have the technology to make giant robot suits, but they only ever use those suits to carry bigger guns and not to fight in close quarters. Seriously.
Okay. I mean, I get all this reasoning, you know, honorable combat on the battlefield, but if it was me, and I was in the Warhammer 40k universe, I would rather prefer a very long distance and very big gun over, you know, a sword and some armor. Especially if I had to fight something like Tyranids. Like, I don't even think Space Marines would do very well against a Tyranid in melee. Well, it depends on the kind of Tyranid, obviously, but I forget their exact name, like a Swarm Lord or something. Or maybe that's a bit too big. Tyranids can just shred Space Marine armor, can't they? In melee. Like the ones that are built for it. So, yeah, no, I don't want to get anywhere near that thing.
What is the fucking point in making a giant robot controlled by your own limbs if you're not going to use it to punch the shit out of things?
I mean, you gotta have a point.
In addition, they use other Xenos that they enslaved to fight in melee battles for them, making them into meat shields, and then they lose the constant.
This revelation fills you with more disgust and spite than a sister of silence being thrown into a pile of feeding tendrils.
That's what I'm trying to say. They cower upon their time behind their big boxy mech units, just shooting at the enemy like on some kind of firing line. The Tau have no honor, and I have no respect for a race that doesn't even have the fucking decency to fight you in melee combat, which is the most honorable method of combat. How the fuck can they claim to be when they won't even pick up a sharpened piece of fucking metal to shank you with? Like, that's not actually honorable at all. That's
Yeah. But, you know, you're trying to make a point here, I get it. I've never seen Kitten this worked up, though, not gonna lie. This really hit a soft spot for him.
That's... You get what the fuck I'm talking about.
I cannot willingly associate myself with such dishonorable creatures. If they want to join the Imperium of Man, they better bring some fucking chain katanas or something.
My lord, I will personally take my halberd and go on a crusade to the Tyrells myself, and I will shove it down the throats of every single one of their pathetic fucking hides, drowning them in their own blood.
Oh my god, Kitten, are you okay?
Are you really
Jesus.
sure this reasoning is, sound?
Shut your fucking mouth, you tub of discounted ketchup.
That's
You
1 to
too?
1 so far. Keep it up.
I learned from the best.
damn straight.
Damn straight.
I'm just gonna go back to my damn room. What? God's Imperial Curse you're into the October. Fuck.
Hey, can I actually tell you a funny story about the tower we're at in?
Oh,
What?
I do love me some good story time.
Not too long ago, the tower were fighting the Tyranids. They feared this enemy and desperately looked for allies since, as you know, the tower can't fight their own fucking battles. But then they were contacted by the Dark Eldar that offered them help. Since
The Dark
tower was so
Eldar?
desperate, they
Oh,
sent
no.
the alliance and both factions fought together side by side against the Tyranids. After that, however, the Dark Eldar leader came to the Tower leader and told them that they wanted a prize for his help, which was 77 Tau from each caste, including 7 Ethereals, as a cultural exchange, as they called it. The Tower, with
no.
their dignity, agreed to send the Tower ambassadors on their
no.
way. Later, they fought against the second wave of Tyranids, but this time the Dark Eldar had some special forces with them that they called Grotesques, which were big hulking beasts that moaned in suffering as they
Oh
fought.
shit.
Later, when the battle was over, the town managed to find out that these grotesques
Yeah, it was
apparently wanted the tower
the people they
ambassadors for the
sent,
cultural
yep.
exchange. The tower were kind of upset by this, even if they were
Yeah,
the ones who willingly
uh-huh.
sent their brethren along with the spiky, super sadistic looking drug dealers.
Like, right? Like, what did you expect could happen? Did the Tau not have any kind of idea of what the Dark Eldar were, or any contact before then? Or maybe it was like a situation where their hands were tied and they had to do it? I don't know. Like, doing anything with the Dark Eldar, it just doesn't seem like a good idea, no matter which angle you take.
In response to this, the tower take the Dark Eldar ships, but as they fired upon them, they realized that the ships weren't actually there anymore. Later, when the Tower forces went back to the planet they were defending in the first place, they discovered that the Dark Eldar had superpillaged the entire planet and left it completely barren. All Tau civilians, buildings, and presumably plants taken to the Dark Eldar realm of Kagura to become subject to incredibly kinky shit, possibly involving precision knives, drugs, and nail
A lot of that,
You would
yeah.
think that anyone would assume that a cultural exchange with a species that looked like completely cracked up BDSM enthusiasts would be a bad idea.
Yeah, right?
Maybe if they would have had some damn melee weapons with them, that wouldn't have been a fucking problem.
Yeah, total.
I just remembered something.
Where you left your Ouija board.
Even better, there is one Tau warrior who rejected the oppressive rule of the Ethereals and
Really?
actually uses his giant robot armor to wield the devastating warp-powered sword.
Everything you just said sounded pretty damn worthy of my attention.
Do you mean that, Commander Carfreight, or whatever his name is?
Commander Farsight, yes.
Commander
Not only is
Farsight.
he known for wrecking a large number of orcs in close combat, but he formed a breakaway colony from the main Tau region known as the Farsight Enclave. Apparently, he didn't appreciate having.
Oh, I've heard of these before. The Farsight Enclave. That's right, yeah, they're their own separate Tau faction. I gotta do more lore diving into that later.
Having his troops lobotomized by the Ethereals, so presumably he decided to go and do his own thing.
Interesting. Tell me more about this Carfreight character.
Carfreight
He sounds fun.
character.
Perhaps we could make a cheesy animated Holo series about him and his adventures and fill it to the brim with my kind of imperial propaganda.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
The begun of a new allegiance plan has only just begun.
I was hoping to change subject matter to something that lessens my own internal headache.
Oh, we're back here. The South Pole, right?
That
I think.
something so vile and abominable could happen to the most sacred world in the galaxy. It's absolutely disgusting. The Order Custodium has obviously not done their job very well. And then one more reason for me to have traveled here.
Hey, don't worry, Fyodor. At least we still have each other. And not only that, but
I
a
wish I
shitload
didn't
of
have you.
prisoners from across the galaxy as well. But even now, I still don't have those damn
Cigarettes,
paper
yep.
cigarettes. Seriously, what the f-
We are going to have to do what would be considered by the ignorant to be the most heretical thing anyone has ever done since the horrid days of the Horus Heresy. However, with the God Emperor as my witness, it will instead be the most pure and noble thing
Yeah, sure
anyone
thing.
has
Sure
ever
thing,
done
dude.
for the Imperium.
Now that's the spirit, Fyodor. I mean, look at all the Ordos here. We got Inquisitors of the Order Malleus, Hereticus,
No.
and Xenos, and their Chamber Militia, of course. And then we got the Order Aegis, the Ordo Barbarus, the Ordo Custodium, as you mentioned, the Ordo Astartes, the Ordo Sanctorum, the Ordo Redactus, the Ordo Necros, the Ordo Scriptorium, the
many
Ordo
are
Voluntarum, the
there?
Ordo Sicarius, the Ordo Vigilus,
Jesus
the Ordo
Christ.
Regulatus, the Ordo Aspera, the Ordo Thanatos, the Ordo Machinum, the Ordo Subtorium,
Oh my
the Ordo
God.
Desolatus, the Ordo Scriptus, the Ordo Obscurus, the Ordo
Okay, is this more about, like, you know, memeing it up, or are there actually this many? Also, by the way, all of this art is absolutely top tier. I could never be able to draw this well.
Ordo Arduous, the Ordo Otis, the Ordo Alphas, the Ordo Original Characters, and even the Ordo Chronos.
Original characters?
Why the hell isn't there an Ordo
Okay,
Sandpaper Cigarette? Why? I really need a Sandpaper Cigarette.
All of us, men and women of the Emperor's eternal glory, will charge Eternity Gate and the Imperial Palace to find whoever sent this message. We will save the Imperium.
If only you could stop and actually listen.
Have deeply entrenched themselves in the path's most holy
Instead of immediately shooting a gun, maybe ask questions. Oh man.
Just further shows that there's no such thing as innocence. And we are here to bring them their judgment.
Hey, Theodore, you should just preach them to death.
Be quiet, Dominic.